Hey, it's Widdis back with another one. Let me put my phone down. Not my foot down. Well, that too. But let me put my phone down. Let me go switch off the light, and I'll come back and have a little chat with you. I'm a bit tired, as you can hear. So yeah, that's my guitar pick. As usual, my phone is flat, so it's on the charge right now. I'm gonna go switch off the light. I sleep in the nude nowadays. I sleep in the nude, man. I used to think that was very weird behavior until I tried it one day and I thought, this is not bad. So, yeah. Really, I shouldn't even be talking right now because I'm tired and I should be heading to bed. Yeah, this is not gonna be a very long one, man. I was just gonna talk about how PE Port Elizabeth is called Gqeberha now since 2021. I did not know that. I found out today on what day is it today? The 11th of March 2026, I found out that Port Elizabeth has been renamed to Gqeberha. I thought it was just a different city nearby or in the same province, of Eastern Cape, in the Eastern Cape province. I had no idea. And they renamed it because they were doing some, decolonialism type thing, decolonization type thing, right? And they chose to give that city the Xhosa name for one of the geographical thingamajigs that it's known for. I guess it's like the rivers maybe, or like the mountains. So yeah, they chose to give that city the Xhosa name of the rivers that city is known for, I guess, or just the terrain, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, I found out that Gqeberha is actually Port Elizabeth and not just another city that I guess I didn't know of until, my older years, I guess, in the Eastern Cape. I thought it was just a city that I had been sleeping on for all my life. And that I only just recognized in the early 2020s or whatever. No, it turned out that I always knew about this city, that it was just renamed. If you listen to my videos, you'll often hear me, or like obviously whenever I'm referring to major cities in South Africa, you'll often hear me referring to PE Port Elizabeth. I had no idea it was renamed to. And I guess this really hit home, or like it struck a chord at the very least, because my dad, he once took me to PE. He once took me to PE as a little kid. I remember being there by the coast and dipping my toes in the ocean. That was the first time I dipped my feet in the ocean, being conscious of it. Because there is a time where, and I speak about this image a lot, there is a time where I was by the coast as a toddler with my parents. I just don't know which coast it was. So yeah, before then I had been to the coast, I had been to the beach or whatever, as a literal toddler. But the time my dad took me to PE was the first time I was really just conscious and like aware that okay, I'm at the beach, dude. Because I stay in Free State, I stay in Bloemfontein, and it's a landlocked city. I don't see the ocean on a daily basis. By the way, I have the sounds of the rain on my laptop. I'm not sure if you can hear those, but I just have them on my laptop. Then it's not actually raining. Yeah, shout out the rain, man. So yeah, that was the first time I was really aware that I was at the coast and I was dipping my feet in the ocean. It was cool. It wasn't packed. It was quite open. I felt like it was just me there. It was just me, and I don't want you to picture this very sunny day, dude. It was rather cloudy. It was rather gloomy almost. But then that's not how I perceived it. That's how the weather was. It was cloudy, a bit dark when I was at the coast of PE. And yeah, that brings me to my attachment to PE, man. Like that's the city that my dad brought me to once. And it's crazy to think about the fact that he didn't see it become Gqeberha. You know, you get what I mean? Because he passed in 2017. They changed it in 2021. Apparently, I'm finding out in 2026. That's my fault because I'm kind of slow when it comes to national affairs and stuff, I guess. So he didn't see it turn into Gqeberha. And it would have been cool for him to see it because not even as like a politician, dude, or someone who's involved in politics to some degree, but as a person who was very much, you know, on the receiving end of, you know, or like who was definitely receiving the brunt of colonialism in South Africa, you know, the regime in South Africa. It would have been great for him to see that. It would have been incredible for him to see that. It would have been nice. It would have been a delight to see that and to hear of that. Yes, he was involved in politics. He started as a teacher. I say started. Obviously, you can imagine that he worked his way up to being a teacher, and then from there he worked his way up to got involved with politics and stuff on a provincial level. Nothing beyond that, nothing national, just on a provincial level. So in his case, it would have been awesome to hear of that. I've got a homie who stays in Quebec, and I've been referring to Quebec as PE this whole time. That poor Elizabeth, and he didn't correct me. He didn't correct me. Shout out K Moth. That's my brother. Again, no chance of him hearing this. I love him to death. Didn't correct me for some reason. Maybe because he didn't feel the need. I spoke to him about this, but he's yet to respond to my message about it. Like, dude, you didn't correct me. You know, I was impressing him about. I was being rather humorous, I guess. Yeah, I presume it's because he wasn't too, worry about me referring to it as PE. I'm sure, like even in that city, he's met with people who refer to the city as PE or as Port Elizabeth from time to time, because it's a relatively new name. It's a relatively new change. It's just gonna take a while for it to really, seep in and really just become the norm and be the go-to name of the place. Because some people, as you can imagine, refer to the city as PE just out of, is it muscle memory? We just without thinking of it. And then after the fact, I'll remember, it's now Quebec and not PE or whatever. Or Port Elizabeth. That is incredible, man. Yeah, again, I guess it really stuck out to me because my dad took me there as a kid, dude. He took me there. Man, shout out my dad, bro. Shout out my dad for real, dude. Because my dad was the kind of dude who'd show you that he loved you, He'd show his kids that he loved them. He wasn't much of a talker like I am. He often kept to himself. One of these days, I'm gonna show you guys an image of my dad. He doesn't really look like me, at least in like skin tone or whatever. But yeah, I'll give you an idea of what he looks like. Yeah, he wasn't much of a talker, man. Yes, you'd say, yeah, dad loves you, but I'm trying to think, we never really had like very detailed conversations. Maybe mainly due to the fact that I was a kid most of the time. In fact, like all of the time that I had him, I was, 14 downwards. Didn't really have very detailed conversations. The conversations we would have were superficial, I guess. But he showed his kids. He showed me that he cared for me and whatnot. Yeah, man. I don't mind. Again, I don't mind that he's not here. I don't mind that he's not here. As much as that may be hard to believe because I'm constantly bringing him up, I guess. But I only bring him up because I ought to, because I should, man, because he was really that guy, Not because I'm constantly in a state where I'm missing my dad or whatever. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't mind that he's not here. I just pray that he's redeemed, I just pray that he's redeemed. That's all I really want, Because he lived his life, past around 55. I forget, past around 55. That is no means young. By no means is that young. But he lived his life, and yeah, shout out to him. It's my turn to live my life now, I guess, right? So yeah, I just pray that he's redeemed, his soul is redeemed. And yeah, he would have loved to see PE turn into Gqeberha. As a symbol of, I almost said undoing. It's not undoing, it's not erasing, but it's, no, is it rewriting? It's moving on from, that, the whole colonial thingy-majig. It's taking a step in the right direction. And I guess it's breaking the chains of colonialism. And the regime and whatnot. It's possible that he knew that informally it had been called something other than PE. Maybe Gqeberha itself. It's possible that he knew that. It's possible that the people of that city just knew that, that the city had a local name and not a colonial name. It's possible. So I don't want to paint it as if this came out of nowhere, or this was unbeknownst to my dad or whatever. No. But officially, yeah, it is a different name now. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. No faux physical, no girl, no whatever. What else do I talk about on this channel? Faux physical, the girl, and what else? That's pretty much it. Yeah. Shout out to my dad though. I remember in a previous video I spoke about how I'll make a dedicated video about my dad. This isn't it. This is if anything, this is a video about Gqeberha. Featuring my dad, So yeah, one of these days I might make like a full hour long video. Just ranting on and on and on about my dad or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, thanks for listening. That's it, man. That's it really. That's all I have to say. From here I'll just be stretching it, going into unnecessary detail. Only because I like talking to whoever's listening. I like talking to myself really. I like getting my thoughts out there. I like organizing my thoughts. I like understanding. I like, compartmentalizing my thoughts and understanding them and, organizing them, putting them in nice little neat, boxes. And just knowing where I stand with my thoughts, because my thoughts can be very chaotic, dude. I think about a lot of things at any given moment. I think so much. Just yesterday, dude, I was thinking so hard that my head started to hurt. And I know that sounds funny, but it is kind of, but it's true, dude. I was thinking so hard that my head started hurting. This is not something that I'm unfamiliar with. I've experienced this in the past. I'm just bringing it up to let you know that I experienced it as soon as as recent as yesterday night. I was thinking about full physical, to the point where my head started hurting because I was thinking too hard. Not because I was dehydrated and that I had a headache that came out of nowhere. No, my brain started to hurt because I was thinking too hard. So I literally had to take. I've got one of the pills here actually. I had to take a little pill. Well, I didn't have to take a pill, but I took a pill to try to soothe that. But what I did have to do was I had to just take a break from thinking. And yeah, I threw on a little RDC stream, RDC VOD, and yeah, just kept my mind off things. Yeah, I bring that up to let you know that I think very often, man. So it helps just organizing my thoughts like this because they can get very mangled and intertwined.